Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar, The New Era of Bing. I really appreciate your time joining. We're going to just get right into it and start off with some introductions here, and then we'll get into an introduction to the topic. So my name is Mike Ryan. I'm head of e-commerce insights at Smarter Ecommerce, also known as SMEC. And yeah, we're really proud to partner with Microsoft, and we're in the e-commerce advertising space, online retailers, and so on. We've got clients all across Europe, and it's my job to basically help provide our clients with market intelligence, market insights, and I also like sharing topics that I'm interested in with the market at large. So I mentioned in a webinar earlier this year, if you caught it, that I think Microsoft is a big opportunity in 2023. And that's not just like a sales show or something like that. That's genuine enthusiasm on my side. I think everybody needs a wake-up call here. So that's a message that I'll try to convey today. And Federica, why don't you get us started with an introduction?
Yes, thanks a lot, Mike. Hi everyone. My name is Federica Mueller, and I'm a partner development manager in the partner segment here at Microsoft Advertising. I've been working very closely with Smarter E-commerce for the last, a little over 3 years, I would say. I'm actually very excited for this webinar. It's been highly requested from Smarter E-commerce, and I'm sure that everyone is quite interested in what we're going to talk about today. My section is going to be, or I'm going to try and take you through some of the news around the new Bing. What does it look like? How do potentially ads appear in this new interface? So yeah, stay tuned for the last bit.
Well, I guess I'm going then.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Well, my name is Lucas. I'm a Microsoft Audience Network specialist. We will be talking obviously about that particular topic, and it's a pleasure to be hosted here. I'm responsible for the channel partners in the EMEA side of the business, and yeah, I think we can start.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also going to be recording a podcast episode with Lucas about Microsoft Audience Network in some more detail. So stay tuned for that too. That's the Growing E-commerce podcast. So Microsoft is in the news. That's undeniable right now. I think what's really fascinating about Bing search, it's always been, a bit of an underdog or younger sibling in the search space, but definitely all eyes there now. These are just a sample of the headlines. AI-powered Bing, this integration with ChatGPT, Microsoft's huge investment in OpenAI, a big bet that they're placing in this technology, which I think is a well-placed bet. And yeah, even these fascinating interviews all the way up to the C-level at Microsoft about what their ambition level is here, and it's very high. But also, that's not the only thing that's new with Microsoft. We're going to build up to this topic, but we also want to remind that there's other things going on in this space. Huge market expansion going on in terms of market served by Microsoft Advertising, Microsoft Audience Network as a newer topic as well. Lucas is going to dig into that for us. And it's just basically a lot going on here. I've joked that it's springtime for Bing, but that's the way it feels right now. It's a really exciting time. This is just a quick video capture of a search that I made, just testing out. I finally got access. I finally got off the wait list. I think, Federica, how many people are on the wait list, do you know?
We don't have any official numbers yet, but we're definitely in the millions. But yeah, a lot of people already have access at the moment. But if you don't, it should be coming very soon.
Yeah, it's a very cool technology. Here, I was just searching like planning a vacation, kids friendly, and beaches are a must, because in the past I would have had to stitch together like multiple searches to get this kind of information. And I think that's one of the big kind of unlocks here with this technology, is that you can save yourself this traditional experience of searching through multiple times and get this kind of outcome. But as I said, we're going to build up to that topic. First, I'm going to hand over to Lucas to talk about the Microsoft Audience Network.
Okay, well, thanks. Yeah, it's super exciting this particular moment, and I think if you can go to the next slide, it's pretty much because, well, we are in an amazing situation in which we have an offer that almost no one can match. I think, as Mike correctly said, that we were always like seen as an underdog, but now we have like such a broad scenario that I think is unique. I've seen no companies that have, for example, a publisher domain based in news like MSAN that, well, is maybe not well known, but it's 500 million users every month. So that's super broad. Then we have, of course, LinkedIn. This is a well-known already, but sometimes this is still seen as something else like Split. Well, we have 750 million users right there. Okay. Then recently we did a couple of acquisitions that those are very specific because we went to acquire that. Well, I think it was like the third or second, sometimes biggest DSP, Zander. I will talk about that later, but the main idea is to go to the open web as well, something that we were not able maybe as much, maybe through syndicated partners, but now we have like a full expansion there. Then Promote IQ is our retail media platform. You know, probably last year was the year of everybody discussing retail media, and now it's starting to boom and new deals are being done. And every time like a big company joins, it's like a big announcement because it's like a true partnership. It connects multiple brands. So yeah, that's a big topic. Plus, is cookie proof, let's say, towards the future. Then another thing that is also very forgotten and is growing a lot is that we have like the Xbox community. That's 70 million users. Plus, we are through the potential acquisition of another like big gaming, not platform, but developer as well. So that's also a really rich targeting, let's say, and public that we are able to reach. And at the moment, this is truly forgotten. Then later, well, this one is very well known, is the Netflix deal. This is expanding broadly, and the whole Netflix is already over a couple of million users on their ad-based subscription. So this is also making like new targets for us. Then the Roku content powerhouse as well. All inside our Microsoft, let's say, umbrella. Everything is inside the Microsoft advertising one, but more specifically for me is the Audience Network. So that's the best, let's say, and the easiest way for you to tackle all these incredible environments, let's say. Okay. So in the end, our main idea is we want to deliver really nice and oriented online experiences, right? So our users can say, okay, I'm able to engage, I want to join this, but I want to feel safe as well. This is something that sometimes in the web, especially in the past, was clearly like not forgotten, but not discussed enough. But I think nowadays we are starting to see privacy not as even as a feature, I think, because everything is so messed up that we are starting to see this as a feature, and probably in the next couple of years is going to be like a demand and a established thing. So that's one of the coolest parts of working for me, at least, is that we have everything as a first-party data. So at the moment we go over the whole cookie apocalypse that may happen now, I think is, let's say, planned for next year, but this is already totally proof for that. So everything, all these different, let's say, platforms and contents, they're all connected to our insane AI. You've seen, we will discuss that later on this very meeting as well. But that's the main way for you to join this, and I would like to go next to the Audience Network itself. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Mike, you want to say something?
Oh, I mean, no, thanks for walking us through that ecosystem.
Okay.
I'm blown away. I mean, I love this like combination with Xbox in there, Roku, Netflix. These are such exciting opportunities as well, like into people's living rooms, and not just in the world of like, I think there's a cliche out there about B2B. Of course, Microsoft is strong here, like desktop, but it is more than that. It's a lot more than that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in the end, I think in the audience network itself, you have access to pretty much everybody. We have like over 1 billion people using the audience network every day. We collect every day over 20 billion sign-ons. And the reality is that through all these different things that I mentioned before, all these different platforms and communities that we are like starting to connect and making our own environment, let's say, you can reach these 1 billion people. And I would like to also talk about who are these people that we are like starting to target in our audience network, okay? Because it's really important. We are talking to marketers and they want to know, okay, this is super cool, it's beautiful. You have like all this immense thing, but what does it mean in terms of business? What are the people I'm engaging with? Okay, so I would like to build like our average user, let's say. And it's surprising, as you said, like you were expecting like desktop users, but which may be older, people who are working. But the reality is that our average user is under 45 years old, like us, I guess. Mostly are college graduated, so it's like really good. A qualified audience that actually means that they are like decision makers, they are really used to buy, especially buying online. They are connecting multiple devices. They work, we like to call the work consumer as well, because now many people work remotely. So they are like using their own computer to do their groceries and things that they were doing outside of work before, but now everything is mixed up, right? And they are using multiple devices and they involve them on the routines. So this is like the best possible average user, let's say, for people selling online, let's say on e-commerces or even for content as well. So yeah, one aspect that I think I mentioned before is that for that user, we have everything in the past very connected to our owned and operated properties like MSAN, Outlook, and then these different platforms. So one thing that we did last year that is super clever is that we went to the open web. So we acquired Xandr with the main idea of like, okay, we have all these super cool audiences, we understand the users pretty well, but sometimes we are not able to reach them because, well, they are on the open web and we don't have that, let's say, exposure or that reach. So with this Xandr acquisition, I will ask you to go to the next one. What we managed to get is a lot of inventory on the open web based on super qualified content platforms and powerhouses like BuzzFeed, AccuWeather, Fox, you name it. And not just for the US market. I know many people listening to our webinar is probably based in EMEA or not just in the US. 43% of that inventory, let's say, is international, so it benefits us as well. And the main idea of this, let's say, was expanding our reach, of course, but especially going through video and CTV supply. That's the future. We still watch a lot of TV. Maybe now we also are looking at our phones at the same time, or even tablets or something. But the main idea is that we are able to be present on that. And of course, this enabled us to have the Netflix deal, which is part of the same idea of being connected on CTV and TV. Okay. So in this short couple of slides, I went over like, okay, tons of different platforms. How is everything being connected? How the audience network is pretty much that. What is the average user? So you will understand, okay, maybe I can tackle this or that sort of targeting. And in the next slide, I would like to show like how we can, with all these different domains and all these different kinds of audiences, we can tackle like a full solution, like a full funnel solution. We still use the funnel a lot, I guess. This is bread and butter for every marketer. So I collected like a couple of ideas on strategies that we use or audiences that we work with. So for example, for awareness, you can simply expand yourself doing the traditional lookalikes, or as we call them, similar audiences. Then you can tackle our in-market audiences. The in-market audiences are some people will call them in-market segments or categories, let's say, or well, the in-market audiences for us are like the most important audience, let's say, in the Microsoft Audience Network. Why? Because all the different inputs that you've seen in that first slide, connecting all the different platforms, all the signals are added there. And those are updated twice a day. We have like 970, sometimes even 1,000. The audiences will fluctuate because we are like compelling them twice a day. So this is people who are really looking for things like car rental or the Italian vacation that Mike was searching. That's exactly where you find them. So it's very easy for you to start benefit. You don't need to set any tags. You can simply put your campaign online. You can import from different competitors as well. You set an in-market audience, and you're already benefiting from that whole ecosystem. So yeah, that's super. Then in the second part of the funnel, which is very important, I think sometimes for awareness, you rather for video content or like it's different metrics, let's say. You are mostly based in brand lift, but consideration already means actual business right away. So for example, one thing that you might mention as well, like the B2B side of business, at least for me, I worked in multiple agencies and in different real-time bidding companies as well. So B2B is always hard to tackle. So in the audience network, you have a possibility to target LinkedIn profiles directly outside of LinkedIn when they are browsing, based on 3 components that are essential, and everybody has them on their profiles. Let's say the company you work, so you can tackle different companies. Now, okay, my main product is based in software, so you can target different companies based on that. Or you can go for the industry. Now, okay, my thing is, I don't know, like accountability. Okay, so you can go for accountants for this particular industry or marketing, you name it. We have the real estate, pretty much all different. And then you can also go for titles like, okay, my actual clients are company buyers. I don't know, I sell office equipment and apparel. So you go for company buyers. And that's the only way for you to tackle LinkedIn outside of LinkedIn. But in LinkedIn is social, while in us is native, so it's very easy for you to set. And then finally, and I think this will connect with the next couple of slides as well, we go for the lowest part of the funnel. Sometimes you are dealing with smaller clients, so they are super focused on this. On every penny I invest has to have a clear return on that. I need conversions. I need to improve my conversion rate. So for this, we have like a super, and this is really cool because I work it in different platforms, and it's slightly hard to set dynamic remarketing, but with us, it's super simple. You start from a simple tag. You add just a product ID, for example, and then you can start remarketing based on user behavior on your own e-commerce. So in the end, this is super rich, and it's a guarantee of better CPAs, right? You can also do regular remarketing for images, for example, but the dynamic remarketing is like a top-notch situation. Okay, you brought over all kinds of campaigns, how to make a big funnel, the audiences, the different platforms, like a short recap. But what is the impact on actual businesses that you've seen? So I will invite you to go to the next slide. I know the numbers are straight there. It's pointless for me to be reading them. I know, but the main idea is that we went over, okay, how much of an impact the audience network is giving to our customers. This is something that we checked last year, if I correctly recall. And from conversions, the one I mentioned before, we have like a 0.5 lift in a conversion rate. This is really good business. Even if you have like a client in a competitor platform and they are plateaued, they are not growing much, bring them to the audience network, start with the lower funnel. That will guarantee you like audiences that you were not able to reach with the different competitor because we are simply collecting different kinds of users. And our solutions like dynamic remarketing or a simple remarketing will boom your conversions, right? Then if for consideration, I think this is one of the coolest parts because we are still dealing with native ads. So it's images. So they're really compelling. Sometimes it's just an image, super nice. Like we have a deal with Shutterstock, for example. So all the pictures are amazing. And you put a title on your product. So we are starting to see that consideration is one of the main drivers, let's say, in the audience network. We are getting very cheap CPCs. And now, in particular, now in this moment, we have like a lower movement, let's say, in terms of CPC. So it's a really good time for you to invest. So you will get visits on a cheaper basis, right? So this is really solid, let's say, in the audience network. And then awareness, which is, let's say, the lowest, just a 3-time lift that you will get. But as we are investing in Xander, for example, on Netflix to bring more video content, this is super awareness. So we know this is like the weakest part, just a 3-time lift, but this is why we are investing heavily there as well. Okay. And yeah, I don't know if we can go to the next slide already. The main idea is to show you a couple of situations that happen in actual businesses. I don't know, Federica, you want to go over this? I can go as well.
The customer
I'm
stories, I think, Mike, that's your
Ah,
part,
that's
yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in there, and yeah, I mean, I think that 3x multiplier on awareness, I mean, only 3x, not bad. Like, but I do think it's interesting that as you go down the funnel, the multipliers are getting higher and higher. And also, it just popped in my head
It's
when you
usually the
mentioned the
other way
deal.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong way, but you mentioned the deal with Shutterstock, and I'm just wondering if there'll be open AI content in the future. But let's see. Um, I want to share a couple of things here because we've been working with MSAN or Microsoft Audience Network for a while. So I want to talk about dynamic remarketing and some things that we've learned in a couple of specific use cases. So first off, if you never set up one of these campaigns before, it might not be the most intuitive way to find it. Like basically, you need to head to your catalog campaigns or your product ads, in other words, and then navigate over to standard shopping as a campaign subtype. And then once you're there, you can choose between the search ads or audience ads, and you're going to select audience ads. So just as a simple explanation about where to find these things in the first place. Now, I personally, it bugs me to have to do anonymous, provide a couple of anonymous case studies here, but I wanted to share very specific numbers because I hate when numbers are super generalized and are only presented in relative terms, not in absolute terms. And we just would never get away with presenting the real actual numbers, or very few people are willing to sign off on something like that. So but I wanted to get into it. So this is what we've seen. This is a retailer in the wine and alcoholic beverage space, really large retailer, and um, they got into the dynamic remarketing campaigns. As you can see there, if you're reading faster than I talk, in Q4 of last year at the peak season, and then more recently, they switched over from enhanced CPC to this new beta or whitelist for maximize conversions bidding. And that's been live for a couple weeks now, and it's pretty exciting so far. So it's something that we're testing and we're keeping a close eye on. They've got a portfolio of other campaigns running in parallel to that. But basically, we're seeing really good conversion rates and really good return on ad spend numbers on there. And I think it gets into, this topic about like threading the needle here between visibility and conversion intent, and that you can actually tackle both of those things. I've got another case study that will show you that in some detail too, but just in these two columns here, you see the results for Germany, you see the results from Austria, and really knocking out of the park on conversion rate in Austria. So we're super happy with this new bidding strategy so far. We're seeing good results, and we're rolling out more and more tests because it's just really interesting to see. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. I think we're in a year where marketing budgets are tightening. That's definitely something we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of marketing budgets where they went through the roof in 2021, and then over the course of 2022, that got more painful. By the second half of 2022, it's like we can't spend the way that we were, and so we've seen some lower budgets coming in 2023. And when it comes down to like, where am I going to spend those marketing dollars? I definitely encourage you to test them over on Microsoft. What we saw is that this was generating conversions from the first day onward, which is really positive. And then the placements, you were mentioning expanding into the open web more. And in this campaign, we did see a lot of conversions coming out of MSN, a classic owned and operated property. But you know what? Remember, this is wine we're talking here. Maybe they were seeing some of these grim headlines on MSN, and they're like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to buy that box of wine now. I was on the fence before, but now I'm ready to convert. And by the way, actually, down here, the kind of fine print at the bottom, you could not do campaigns like this on Google Display Network. This is something in the alcoholic beverages category. That's something that you can uniquely do on Microsoft right now. So that's a positive as well. This is these are revenue that they couldn't generate otherwise, and customers that they couldn't capture. So when we talk about making sure that things are really on top, added value in a time of budget tightening, I think the message is clear there. And this this slide would make me sweat a little bit if I would be Google. I mean, I just love these numbers here. Again, I can't tell you exactly who this came from. This is one of the largest opticians in the DACH market, in the German speaking market. But I wanted to show you the actual numbers here. So they were spending, as apples to apples as it can get, they were spending in MSAN versus GDN, and we're talking about the identical amount of cost here, 750 euros last 30 days for both of these. And there's some kind of a trade-off here. I think there is an argument to be made for Google Ads. The amount of impressions that Google was able to achieve with that budget was clearly a lot bigger. Clearly, there's no question about that. But then when you look at the click-through rate, and when you actually look at the CPC, you see a really different picture emerging, where Microsoft is absolutely schooling Google in terms of the actual performance here, and the cost per click is way cheaper. So it depends, what are you looking for? Are you trying to buy visibility and you're focused on that CPM and the ultimate reach, or do you want this visibility to also perform for you? In which case, it is a really productive audience that Microsoft is able to produce in comparison. So personally, I'm always on that more performance side, and I see that as a super positive. Of course, people can have different objectives, but it's nothing to sniff at the performance that Microsoft is able to deliver here. So that was a big learning for us. And we generally, by the way, this is not like an edge case or something like that. This isn't cherry picking. When we look at our Microsoft portfolio, we see that typically CPCs are about 45% cheaper compared to Google there. And who can argue with that? I think maybe we'll talk about CPCs and stuff like that later on as we get into AI content and the intersection of AI and search. But I also wanted to mention, because there's, you can call it for better or worse. There's like a cliche out there that Microsoft is just a clone of Google Ads or something like that. And personally, I think it's smart. Why reinvent the wheel? But also, Microsoft does create their own USPs on top of that. They do have some unique things, and they're particularly strong in the extensions area. So just want to run you through some newer extensions and make you aware of this stuff in case you didn't know you could do this, because you should definitely be testing this stuff, see if it can work for you. First off, there's these action extensions where you can put in a call to action button right there on the SERP, which is really attractive. These are just mock-ups, by the way, these ads that you're seeing here, but that's what they look like. There's also filter links, which is one that resonates a lot with me. Also, specifically this example, like buying flowers for Mother's Day. For me, like, there's just a chance to save some click work here. You could click through to like the given retailer, and then click through to the price range that you want, or click through the category, apply the price range that you want. Or you can just cut to the chase with filtering right from the search engine's results page. And I think that's very cool. It just immediately has this kind of in-qualifying or out-qualifying effect. The consumer sees the range of prices that you're offering. They're able to identify with what's there for them. There's not this uncertainty of, is there something in my price range or not? They can just self-identify with that price range and click through. I think that's a brilliant feature. And then there are these flyer extensions as well, for promos and whatever kind of flyers that you might be running. I don't have a lot of experience with that yet personally, because that's in the US markets right now. We're more based in Europe. We do have some US advertisers on Microsoft, but I just haven't really messed with that. I don't know if Federica or Lucas has anything to say about the flyers, but if not, that's cool too.
I would say it's very specific to the US market for now. But
Yeah.
yes, we'll be testing it more in the DACH region. I'm pretty sure it's coming soon as well. So
Cool. Keep
more to come on
keep
that.
my eyes open. Yeah. I by the way, whenever I'm at one of these big, like, I don't know, I'm looking up flyers all the time. Maybe I'm old school, but I'm looking at flyers all the time. So I think it's a cool idea. Um, then there's also review extensions and video extensions, and yeah, reviews. It's about that social credibility. It's about that trust, and that's just something that can boost people's willingness to click through. And yeah, just push them over the line there. Also, the video extensions, great way to get a brand touch into the search engine result page. That SERP pages can be, potentially dry. I think Federica is going to show us a before after comparison about how the SERP has changed in the last years. Spoiler, but something like this, including that media right in there, I think again it's a great chance to differentiate yourself. So these are all extensions that are really valuable add-ons in Microsoft, and I think it's something that you should implement, you should test. We're experimenting with them all the time. Then I've got a couple of links here because I think you'll get this material shared with you afterwards. And you can also click some of these links. But again, it's just to wrap up about these since they're rather new. So definitely test those out. Yeah, if we return back to where we started a bit, we're talking about these big headlines that Microsoft is generating right now. And this is an area where I'm very curious. We'll get more into this topic coming up, but um, Microsoft is growing fast. And this data is from July 2022. Maybe you can see that footnote there. So I'm kind of breathlessly waiting to see how this is going to develop across the course of 2023 based on everything that's occurring with Microsoft and Bing. I'm very optimistic about that. But in the meanwhile, it's already impressive what's been happening. Almost 100 new markets launched in 2022. So when you're talking about your cross-border commerce and your ability to expand internationally, that's just huge. You've got that opportunity not only with Google, but also with Microsoft now. And there are 12 billion incremental annual searches. So that was a number that blew my mind earlier when Lucas mentioned 1 billion users. We're talking, what are there, 8 billion people on Earth right now? And if we exclude like approximately a billion of them in China, because I think that the search market is more restricted there. We're talking about a lot of the population who is searching on Microsoft. And yeah, we're seeing that 9% increase in Bing volume. So it's a market that's growing, and I'm wondering, or I'm willing to bet, if people, if the amount of attention that they're giving to Microsoft and the way that they think about Microsoft and what they're spending on Microsoft, if it's been growing in turn. That's why I just see this as a wake up call moment. 2023 for me is a year where if you haven't invested, probably time to take a fresh look at that. But Federica, do you have anything to add about the 12 billion incremental annual searches? Like, how do I understand the word incremental there in terms of can't reach them anywhere else, or?
That's just the launch of new. So up until last summer, we had, I guess, less than half of the markets that we are available in now. So we've been expanding, and I think in the next slide you might have a view of where these markets come from.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the incremental searches that came from the launch in the new market. So we're
Okay, gotcha.
available in all the markets that Google is available in, and some more, and we're constantly like building this up. I think by now we're even in 169, something like that, 170 countries or
Wow.
markets already. So we've started expanding towards Eastern Europe a little more, the likes of Poland, Czechoslovakia, and so on.
Yeah.
And also to the Emirates, South Africa. There's some very exciting new markets in there, which not only have increased or helped us increase our reach and our footprint, but I would say it's definitely very interesting to test these markets if you are either thinking about it or already have presence there, because as you can see, July 2022 is not too long ago, and it's still a sort of first mover advantage, I would say. So there's still lower competition there. So yeah, if you're doubting it, I would say just give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. So if we think about those 12 billion new searches in these new markets, and then a percentage of that going to be available for ad impressions, that's a lot of new ad inventory opening up. And yeah, again, I'm wondering, just like you said, how many advertisers have taken up the opportunity yet? Because there is kind of maybe a little arbitrage moment happening where you can get good volume at a lower CPC. So super international opportunity. And here's a case study, again, anonymized here, but what we saw after in terms of visibility increase after introducing the new markets. So we saw this explosive growth in audience impressions as well. And in Q4, that was just absolutely massive. And the clicks steadily growing over time. So it's looking really positive after these markets got introduced. And we're just definitely keeping an eye on it and testing those things. As I said, just test, see for yourself. That's the best thing that I can recommend. So thanks for hearing me out there. Now I'm going to hand over to Federica for me, almost the most anticipated part of this session, and maybe for some of you too. She's going to talk us through this new era of Microsoft advertising, calling back to some of those headlines at the start of the presentation.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Mike. And thanks, Lucas, as well. I think, if you can just jump back one slide.
Sure, I'll give you a sec.
Sorry, I just wanted to set the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've heard a lot of exciting developments in the Microsoft advertising world. You can get the feel that we're definitely in growth mode. The Microsoft Audience Network is one of the big growth pillars that we've had over the last years. I guess the new markets that have launched, you've just heard about. And I think I saw a statistic in a last team meeting where it says that we launched 100 new products in the last year only. And I guess one of the most exciting developments in Microsoft advertising, or probably the most exciting development in Microsoft advertising, at least since I have been with Microsoft, has been the launch of what we call the new Bing. So question here, is everyone already signed up for the beta, or has anyone already had access, had the chance to maybe test it a little bit? And if you don't, you can sign up to the waitlist that we talked about earlier, where there's definitely a good amount of people are already waiting. You can go to bing.com/new and sign yourself up. Usually it takes around 4 to 5 days to get off that waitlist. So little tip from my side. So Mike, now we can go to the next slide.
All right.
So where do I start the conversation here? Let's maybe start with artificial intelligence in general. So in the last year alone, we've seen products pop up such as DALL-E, ChatGPT, Lensa. Here's just a few examples there. And we were getting a small taste of what the early consumerization of AI could look like. We like to say that we're pretty much entering the golden age of AI right now. And artificial intelligence has really been in development for many years now. And we have mostly benefited from it today in, let's say, more unseen ways so far. But what has changed in the last year is that there has been a proper breakthrough. So not only have the capabilities of AI jumped forward by a lot, but as importantly, we now have the possibility to put AI into the hands of everyday people, really. So, Mike, if you just want to go ahead. Exactly. So yeah, so if once we enter this transition in AI, the question is, yeah, where does Microsoft play a part in that, and how can we help to add value here? So yeah, so we committed, or Microsoft committed to start focusing on bringing the benefit of this new area of AI innovations to everyone in a way that's universally accessible and inclusive, and with a business model and a platform that allows the industry to benefit from it. So the question was, where do we begin with this shift? So what products have not really changed in the last decade, for example? That's what we thought about. And what are products where AI can make a real difference? Or what are the categories in which creating more choice would be good for everyone? And obviously, there we go, perfect. We started looking at a category that hasn't really changed in the last 20 years, which is search. So here you see an example of what search looked like 20 years ago and what search looks like today. And yes, visually it has evolved a bit, but pretty much it comes down to still a summary of blue links that we get back once we type in our keywords or our searches. And yeah, and we think that there's definitely a new way now to think about search behavior. Yeah, so exactly. Search is one of the most popular online tools, as everyone knows. I think there is 6.5 billion queries per day around the world today. And search has always helped us to navigate the web by literally returning millions and millions of website links in milliseconds based on just a few keywords of input. But um, people are still feeling overwhelmed with all of these links and trying to find simple answers to their questions. There is a statistic that goes 40% of people who click on search results immediately click back because it's not really the right site of what they were looking for. And it's still difficult to use the search engine for more complex searches, like, for example, the initial example that we had from Mike of planning a trip. This is a process that can take days or even weeks if you want. So pretty much we have adopted to search over the years versus the other way around. So we see that search today is not really fulfilling what people want and need, and that's what we want to change. So yeah, this is Microsoft Advertising's new version of Bing and of search. So yeah, so for those who have access, this is not a new view to you, but we call the new Bing our AI-powered co-pilot for the web. So what happens is we have used the language models from OpenAI that ChatGPT is built on and implemented it into our search engine. So that not only helped us to have a massive jump in relevance, I think we had the biggest jump in relevance and probably since the beginning of search. But also we have a so-called co-pilot that helps us navigate the web. And it gives us the opportunity to achieve more than you might have ever been able to achieve before in a much more intuitive way. So while you ask questions now, you get a much deeper, more nuanced answer for anything that you could possibly imagine. If you just want to go ahead, exactly. So this is a quote from an interview that I love. So in case you haven't watched it yet, there is an interview that our CEO Satya Nadella gave in February on The Verge. So there's a little link there, I think, that we can share. But yeah, what Satya Nadella basically says is that our new Bing goes beyond just getting an answer, because we've really had answers for years. But this time. This time it's using the strength of the AI modeling to become more sophisticated and offer more conversational answers.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted, if I could just comment on this quick.
Of
I, I,
course,
I
yeah.
love it. I love this quote too, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I can say something that Microsoft employees won't say out loud, or I'm not sure, but like I like this framing a lot better than where Google is at right now. I just saw some these internal conversations where they're saying, chat is not search, and people might try to use chat like search, but it's not search. And to me, that framing feels backwards, and this feels like a much better way of thinking it, like switching from a search engine to an answer engine. I just love that framing compared to, oh, people might try to use chat like search. I think it's a lot more realistic to people's behaviors and expectations and what they can achieve from this in the end. Um, and then one more real quick thing, if we're on the
Of
topic
course.
of Nadella interviews, my favorite interview with Nadella lately is from the Economic Times, and maybe I can find a way to share a link, but um, he just talks about he just talks about really brutally holding Google's feet to the fire here, and it would be unsportsmanlike of the two of you to say it, but I'll go ahead and say it. um, I think it really is an interesting opportunity for Microsoft where they can kind of make Google dance a little bit. And as an impartial observer, actually a Microsoft fan, it's really fun to watch that happening. So it's just super exciting time. Sorry, I
Absolutely.
interrupted you.
Thanks for the plug there, Mike. It's definitely one of my favorite quotes as well. I like the idea of Bing showing Google that we also know how to dance
Yeah,
going
exactly.
forward. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does this experience really look like? And also for you guys who are advertisers with us, what does this mean for you? So here is some examples of what the current version looks like, because we already have ads in the new Bing experience. So here is the text ad experience, and you see an example of two searches there, or two conversations with our Bing AI. So the first search on the left-hand side is, you can see, I want to book a hotel in Sydney, for example. And you see an answer that's being generated, very similar to ChatGPT if you've been using it. But what changes here is that we obviously have access to search data and to the internet in general. So we get an answer based on I guess, resources or sources. And you can see that the text ads appear when you hover over exactly these sort of links or citations, if you want. And first of all, you can see where that information comes from. So here you can see it's based on a search that the AI has done for you on Bing for hotels in Sydney. But there is space for up to 2 ads under those hyperlinks. So here you can see an ad from Booking, for example. In the other example here on the right-hand side, there is a search for buying flowers in Seattle. And very similar there, you can hover over the location results, and there is a little ad for a florist in Seattle that comes up. So this experience is this is the first, I guess, iteration of where text ads are going to be shown or are already being shown in the new Bing. But we also have more visual formats, and I think this is also something that that is exciting, especially in the e-commerce space. We already have multimedia ads implemented, which you can see on the left-hand side. Super interesting in the center here, you can see the product ads that are also shown in the new Bing experience. And then we also have vertical ads here in the example of hotel ads that are being shown as a result. Exactly. So I think I'm running a little late on time, so I'm just going to try and wrap it
We're
up
running a
here.
little short on time, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I'm just going
No,
to try
no,
and keep it
it's
short.
yeah.
Just to summarize where we're at and what to expect for our advertisers. So there's no actual action needed for advertisers that are live on Microsoft Advertising today, because the ads in the new Bing experience will be automatically created from your current search campaigns. and shopping campaigns, of course. The ads are still going to be charged on a CPC basis. We are, as I said, we are just over a month from the launch, so we're still in the initial testing phase. So at the moment, there's no ability to either test separate campaigns for the separate experiences, and there's also no possibility to have separate reports for the two experiences. This is for now. Obviously, this might evolve over the next weeks and months. What you can definitely expect is a volume growth over time as we give more and more access to this new Bing experience. So we expect a traffic increase over time. And yeah, obviously the ad volume will be more limited initially, but will grow with usage. And lastly, or last but not least, be prepared that there's going to be a lot more ad innovations to come. I don't know if you follow the Bing blog or the Microsoft advertising blog. There is basically almost an announcement on the daily of any updates here. So yeah, a lot more exciting things to come. And I
Yeah,
think
good.
I'll pause here.
Okay, thanks, Federica. Good tip. I haven't been following the Microsoft Ads blog as much as I should. Probably, I'm definitely going to add that to my bookmarks. And yeah, we've got questions coming through, but I'm just looking at the time here, and we're really tight on time / overtime.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think the best thing that we could do here is follow up with these written form afterwards. And I'm sorry about that. That's on me as moderator. But I want to thank you, Federica and Lucas, so much for joining us and sharing all these insights with us. I hope my genuine enthusiasm on the topic comes forward. I'm kind of like a monotone guy usually, but I'm very excited about the year ahead for Microsoft Ads, and I just can only encourage people to test it. And if they've had a look before, or if they haven't, have that first look, have that second look, because this is, to me, a very exciting opportunity in 2023.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike. And yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting content that we try to convey today. And yes, let's work together on the Q&A maybe after. Thanks
Yeah,
so much for having us in this webinar. I hope you got some good takeaways from this.
definitely. I really appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thanks so much.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.